haven't been out here in the garage in about a week. Well, besides getting the bike in and out, but as far as working on the cars, really haven't been out here lately. Need to actually come back out here. Still waiting on the fuel pressure regulator to come in. Probably throw the headlight brackets on today if I can find all the hardware. But other than that, I think I'm gonna climb up under the car. There's one change that I'm not looking forward to, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to run the exhaust like I planned on it. I mentioned that I wanted to do I wanted to do a center exit out of the bumper, which I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be possible, but with the setup I have running the stock fuel tank, and I still have the hump for the spare tire, it's gonna make it a little bit more difficult. So I think to make it easier, I'll probably just run it out the side, probably behind the rear wheel. So I'm gonna climb up under there, look a little bit more, and see what it's looking like. But I think the center exit exhaust, might have to throw that out the window, that idea. Unless I was running like a fuel cell or something in the trunk, then it opened up a lot more space up underneath the car. But I think with the stock fuel tank, I might have to change the direction on that. Other than that, I got the fitting it, or kept ordering the wrong size, so I finally got one that worked, a 90 degree coming off of here. I might change it back eventually to like a stainless steel one, just to blend in a little bit more, but for now, the black is fine. So, yeah, probably swap that out later, but for now, it'll work. And then I might mark on this crossover pipe where I need to cut it and start figuring out what I need to do with that. So I get that all welded up and just start checking stuff off the checklist. Still need to add a little bit of sound deadening back here in the trunk area. Mostly, I'm thinking back here, but I really don't need it, but who knows. So I'll think about that. Did have somebody hit me up about the seats, but like marketplace, you never know. So pretty comfortable. The dog likes them, so they might just stay there. As far as the interior goes, no updates on that. I need to clean up some of these wires, get all those capped off. All those are for like the gauge cluster or the instrument panel, so I'm not going to be using any of them with the digital dash, so I get all those capped off, tucked away, clean all this up a little bit. But yeah, I think the first thing to do, grab the creeper. I'll climb up under the car and see if it's possible about routing the center exit exhaust through the bumper or not, but I don't think it's going to be. And then I still need to find the bezels for the rear side markers. So yeah, let me grab the creeper. I'm gonna climb up under there and just see what I see. If it looks like I can route it a certain way without it being too awkward, I might, but for the most part, doubt it's gonna happen. Still need to clean these up too. I think I'm gonna route them on the inside here. That would need to be hooked up to the thing just for the fuel level. But this is what I'm talking about. Having no room for routing the exhaust. If this wasn't here, it'd be a lot easier. Just route it straight back and then just come to the bumper and the reinforcement bar. But it is there, so only other option would be to bring it here, and a buddy, he suggested like the oval exhaust pipes, so it won't hang down too far, but I think you'd still be able to see it. So I think I'm just gonna dump it out right behind the tire. So yeah, I just don't want to hang it too low. So well, I guess you'll be able to see that anyway. So I'm not sure, but it would have to come and pretty much do a 90, and I'm pretty sure that restricted a lot, and then come back out. So thinking about just bringing it out through the side, but who knows. And then having an exhaust right here where you fill up the fuel, that might be an issue too. So yeah, it's probably going out the side. Still need to throw the rear sway bar on. The only reason it's off is because it sits right here in front of the pumpkin, so lifting the car up and down, it gets in the way. So just take it off until the car's ready to sit back down. But while I'm under here, probably just grab a tape measure. Grab a tape measure and measure the length for the drive shaft. I believe I'd measured it before. It was like 49 and a half, something like that. But when you do measure it, you want the car to be on all four, so it's under load pretty much, or under its full weight, and then you just measure the length. So I'll get that all measured up, and then I'll probably end up, I think I have a seal kit for the back of the tail housing. I think I have a seal kit for that, so I might look into bracing the transmission, removing that, and replacing those seals. But other than that, it's pretty simple under here. Pretty clean. Yeah, so go from the downpipe right straight back through the cross member, and pretty much just run it straight back over the axle and then dump it out the side. So yeah, a little disappointed once I got the fuel tank and everything back in, and noticed it would be a problem with the center exit exhaust, but it happens. Just have to change a little bit of plans. It'd probably be easier not doing the center exit exhaust too, but it'd have been a nice look. But yeah, let me find a tape measure, measure the drive shaft length, and then get these headlight buckets on. Oh, another thing I noticed, like that brace that usually goes in between the airbox is there for a reason, because the nose actually needs to come up slightly to line up with the hood once it's closed. So I'll get something in there to help lift it up a little bit, and minor adjustments with the body lines and everything. And then need to order new parking lights. So yeah, I'll just come out here, do some small stuff today, and then I think Thursday or Friday, I think a buddy's gonna swing by. He just picked up a 5.3 and 4L60 for his, I forget the year of it, but he has a Monte Carlo. So told me he could swing by. I have some spare parts laying around. I was gonna sell him, and then I was like, well, swing by and we go around the block. You can see how the 5.3 performs in these things. Just a stock 5.3. This one's manual. His is going to be an auto, but you still be able to get a little feel for the power. So he'll swing by, I believe, Friday, and we'll get the Elko out, just take around the neighborhood and everything. But yeah, let me put this down and actually do some work. Alright, so I knew I was close to the measurements. It was 49 and 5/8, so that's what I'm going to go up there with. Need to get a probably a couple quotes for it, but decided to start working on putting the headlights in, the bezels or buckets, whatever you want to call them, and they look pretty good in there. They look good out of it, but inside there, yeah, it's gonna look real good. I misplaced the hardware, so I think there's a piece that slides up into here and into here. So I think I'm gonna have to get 8 of them. So I think they're a couple bucks each at the auto parts store. So I'll get 8 of those, just like a little adjuster screws. And I believe there's a spring that goes here. So I'm not sure if I dropped those off my buddy or if I misplaced them, but I'll probably just pick up some new ones anyway. But yeah, with the headlights, now I'll show you guys on this one. Yeah, so they fit inside these bezels all right. So they fit inside of them. However, there's just little notches on all 4 corners where when you go to put the plate over the front, there's a little bit larger of a gap than I wanted. So you can see there's a little bit of a gap there, and it's a lot less here. So what I did was these little notches here, and just use a grinder and just took a little bit off of each one of these just to smooth it out so that they could sit a little bit farther inside of these. So you don't have to, you might have to get longer screws if you don't, but I just wanted to set in there a little bit more, so I decided just to smooth those out a little bit. I'll go over one of them, and I'll probably just do it on one of them so you can see how it looks before I put it all back together. But yeah, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but just smooth it down a little bit, and it helps it sit inside there just a little bit farther. So I'll go back through, throw some touch-up paint on them, and call it good. But like I said, I still need to get the mounting hardware or the adjuster screws for it. I have them laying around somewhere. I know I have the adjuster screws, but the springs, I'm not sure if I have those laying around or not. But yeah, I'll just do all of them on the remaining 3. Hit them with some touch-up paint or just some black spray paint, and we'll go from there. I think just painting the headlights, just where I trimmed them down at. So those are all painted up. Oh, there the other ones go. So those are all painted. Still need to get the hardware for it. I haven't been to the auto parts store yet, so I might do that today. Weather's nice enough out. Just washed up all the cars. I'll probably hop on the bike, make a quick parts run, and get those installed. Try to get this back on. But yeah, so go get those parts, try to get all the headlight stuff buttoned up. Have somebody come in up in a little bit to pick up the Blazer setup, the front. I was going to do it on the Elko. Right now it's a QA1 upper lower control arms, power stop, drilled and slided rotors with their calipers. I was going to do the Blazer brake upgrade because I'm going to do it on the rear, but somebody hit me up. Well, there's a friend of a friend through Colorado G Bodies. He was looking for some, and my buddy suggested, or he knew I had them, so he's like, would you sell them? And I'm like, well, I'm not in a rush to do this swap right away, but I have all the stuff to get it started, and those were just sitting there, so I figured I'll be able to find another 2-wheel drive Blazer in the junkyard when I really need to get around to doing this. So the whole spindles, hubs, and calipers, I'm gonna let go. It's probably for steel, but at the same time, I'm not trying to get rich off selling parts. Somebody needs them and I have them and I can help them out. You know, I'll at least get my money back plus a little bit. But yeah, he's coming up here in a little bit to pick those up. Have another buddy pulling up to check out the LS swaps. So he just, I forget what year it is. Well, he has 2 Monte Carlos. I believe both are lowriders, or at least one's a lowrider and then one will get turned into one eventually. But he just picked up a 5.3 and 4L80 setup for it, and just trying to get some ideas on where to start. I have some extra parts laying around. If he needs them, just gonna let him take them. But just pretty much just go over how the swaps are set up, and try to, like I said, there's information on the internet and everything, but he's not too far away, so tell him swing by and we could look at the setups, go over what really needs to be done. They're fairly simple, but they're a little time consuming, so go over like the motor mounts, transmission mount, cross member, fuel lines, and just the basics on the setup. Go over the sending unit if he needs to get a new one of those, or if his car is already equipped with EFI, or at least the EFI style sending unit. Just go over just some basic stuff. So yeah, I know these videos lately, I've been taking a little bit of a break. But yeah, just trying to get this all knocked out. And I was going to do a separate video on the throttle cable, but I'll just go over it right now for you guys. So let me find this older one first. I know I had another throttle cable laying around that would work and wouldn't work at the same time. So I'll go over it with you guys real quick. So this one came out of, I believe, a Tahoe, early 2000s Tahoe drive-by cable, and it would work with a stock intake. With the aftermarket one, it was long enough, so well, yeah, it was long enough, but it wasn't. So if this bracket on the aftermarket one was a little bit farther back, like on the factory style, I would have been able to just throw it on there, no problem. I could speed it up, but you guys are gonna get all this in the video. Come on. So you see the mounting location for the throttle cable on the factory style is farther back instead of being right up next to the throttle body. So with this one, I said even moving this all the way back, it was just stretching it out too much and I didn't like it. So it was close. So with the factory intake, you can use it. Aftermarket one, it's a no-go. I might take this little piece off and use it though. But one thing I did, I got this one off of a van, I believe an express van or Savannah van. It was a lot longer than I needed, so I ended up cutting, most of this outside sleeve off. Like I made 2 cuts, and then I still use this end. Let me show you guys. So it's going to be a little confusing. It'd be better if I just did a separate video on it, but I'll explain it real quick. So first thing I did was this end right here that goes into the firewall. It's circular, so I took a Dremel or a cutoff tool or rotary tool, and I flattened those 2 tabs out a little bit. So I left the ones that actually like hook in there. So this opening in here is more of a rectangle than square, so the top side is a little bit shorter and then the sides are flared out, so I left those ones flared out and just use that rotary tool to grind those down a little bit. And I cut the end off of the cable itself, and I pulled most of the cable out, and then, like I said, this sleeve right here, I actually cut it in two different places, obviously with the cable not on there. So I'm not sure how much I took off, probably about 6 inches of the cable. I took the sleeve off and put it back together, put some heat shrink and everything around it so it butts up next to each other again. All up here, I didn't mess with anything up there, but on the end I cut off. I'll climb up in the car here in a little bit. On this end I cut off, I used 2 cable stops. You could probably get away with 1, but on the Elco I have 2 of them, so I just throw 2 of them on there just to be sure. And you want to get the length of the cable and maybe hold it in, or put the cable stop in one spot, see if that's enough movement to fully operate the throttle body. So if it's in the right spot, or if you need to adjust a little bit, just make sure the throttle body opens and closes all the way. And then it's gonna be easier to show you guys on the Monty. So the end of the cable that I cut off, so that section here, I put 2 cable stops on it. You can probably get away with 1, but it might get a little dark in here. So there's that. So those are the cable stops there, and like I said, I cranked them down a little bit and then put I tried to solder them and it wasn't working, so I'll put the heat shrink there with the solder on there. And so you hear the throttle body opening all the way, and that's how I did it. So it was about 20 bucks for the setup. I think the cable was about $13, maybe $14 after taxes from you pull and pay, and then the cable stops. I got a variety pack of like 6 of them in there. If you just get the 2 that you need, the right size, you can pick them up for about $3 or 4 bucks. So just an inexpensive throttle cable for an LS swap G body. Like I said, about 20 bucks instead of, I think they're about 50 to 120 for the aftermarket style. And then if I want, I could throw some of this wire loom, wherever it is, like some of the wire loom. I could throw that over it to hide it a little bit more, or since it's black, it kind of blends in anyway. With the, if I didn't take the like 6 inches out of the sleeve right here, I did originally have it routed towards the back, and then it looped back around, so it's probably a lot more than 6 inches out of it. But yeah, I took a pretty good section out of it just to make it look a little bit cleaner. So I might try to look for another style, because, well, I think this one in here is from the like a Tahoe or a Yukon or something with a stock intake, so that fits pretty good. I just didn't Dremel out the opening for the piece that goes into the firewall in this one, so I might take this throttle cable back off, do that so it sits in there. But it's just a nice option. If you guys have any questions on it, I could go over it in a little bit more detail in another video, but if you guys get the gist of it, we should be good. So let me put the camera down, see if these guys pull up shortly. Should be both pretty close to each other, so I'll get them knocked out, and I'll probably get the Elco out for a little bit today, go around the neighborhood to show them what a stock 5.3 feels like in these things. I think right now he has the 305 in it, so yeah, but it should be pulling up shortly. Should probably clean some of this stuff out. Yeah, I'll clean this stuff out and catch you guys back on a little bit later. Alright, so Buddy just left, checking out both builds, going over some just ideas of what he's doing. Found out it's a 84 and a 78. He's swapping the 78, so just went over some of the basic stuff and advice on how what you need to do to swap, and kind of some pointers on little parts here and there, and just advice on it. So he just left. I need to get the elko turned back around, so I'll work on doing that. Not too much going on in this video, just little small stuff here and there. I'll work on getting all the stuff for the headlights, get all those installed eventually, start working on the brake lines. Still waiting on the fuel pressure regulator to come in. So just little small stuff here and there. Really haven't been out in the garage too much lately. So working on a schedule change, so that should free up a lot more time in the afternoons and evenings. So probably be out here a little bit more. But for the most part, just taking it easy, chilling. Not in too much of a rush anymore, but definitely have plans to get out here, bunch some stuff up. Still need to stop by and get quotes for the drive shaft for the Monty. Need to get the trim, the window trim painted, get the windows back out here, get them tinted. Try to do all that before the weather gets too bad. And then on the elko, I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not. Let me see if I can zoom in. So with the elko, it's not want to play nice now. Get that leak right there. The gearbox is still leaking, so get that all swapped out. That'll probably be all winter projects. With the Monty, still need to get all the bumpers and everything adjusted. So these aren't even they're not even bolted on, so still have to work on all that. Like I said, it's not a whole lot, but it's a lot. Ordered a bunch of trim pieces, like the emblems, door sills, window sweeps, all that stuff. Same thing with the elko, it needs all that. Get some interior pieces put back on. Eventually order the headliner, so been saying that for years. I'll get around to getting the headliner in there eventually. Still trying to figure some stuff out with the PT, so yeah, been taking it easy the last couple weeks. Enjoying the weather, just enjoying other stuff, so we'll get back to it. Still need to get these seats sold, but it is nice having the seats out here in the garage. Actually pretty comfortable for like a garage seating, but in the car, I don't think so. But the Blazer spindles, those just sold. Like I said, my buddy came by, check out the 5.3, or the LS swaps pretty much. Took him around the block, and I think he was hooked with the power and stuff. It wasn't anything crazy, it's just a stock 5.3 and the elko, but definitely it gets up and goes. Not gonna be like the Monty though, so yeah, it's enough of me rambling. I know not much going on in this video, but I'll get back to it here in a little bit.